this darn series. I have been. Do not attack the tripod. Cat, I swear. Anyways, this series I have been trying to read since the beginning of August. On how far I am about 50-something% of the way through of Airfire. I have read Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and now we're on Airfire. Let me tell you, was it in Crown of Midnight or was it in Airfire that I absolutely lost my shit? I think you... You understand. I was like, this cannot be happening. I think it was Crown of Midnight, to be honest. I cried. I screamed. I'm doing what I was doing now, just literally staring off into absolute nothingness. And all I was told is that it's just gonna get worse. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this series without making a video out of it. So, sorry I did not start this from the beginning of Throne of Glass. I thought I was a big girl and I could do this all by my own without any other outward motivation. I lied to myself. That, and I'm also just getting used to like vlogging me reading all the time and having time to edit it. So yeah, this video will not stop until this last book. That is literally almost 1,000 pages on its own. Hold on, let's see. What is the exact count? We're still going. I think it's like 20 pages under 1,000. No, it's not even. Okay, if we get out of the acknowledgements, yeah, 20 pages. So within the acknowledgements, we're looking at 16, right? Yeah. Pages away from being 1,000 pages. But, I never read the acknowledgements. Sorry, authors, I don't. It's 980 pages. This scares the crap out of me. And that says a lot because also within this series, which are gigantic books as well, is the infamous tandem read of Emperor's Storm and Tower of Dawn. So this series is quite intimidating. To say the least. I think, hold on, let me grab my Kindle. Because these books, they start out like your normal generic size, like all the way to like, I don't even know, maybe Queen of Shadows is like pushing it for like a normal size that I'm used to. And 1,000 books within 1,000 pages within itself is freaking crazy. Anyways, so I got the bundle, the Throne of Glass bundle on Kindle. So it's all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's all 8 books within one. So I'm technically on page 1,331 of 5,335 pages. There's 5,335 pages within just this. Like this series. That is absolutely freaking crazy. The other thing, I was gonna try to see if I could get like a word count. I doubt it. Yeah. I'm freaking my Kindle out. Hold on. I do want to get the Crescent City bundle as well. Okay, we're on my page. I think so. Yeah, no. I'm not gonna be able to get a word count. Let's just say it'd be astronomically high. Okay, let's get into the review of the first 3 books and then kind of my thoughts of Airfire with where I'm at now. So let's move on of this. So, I've talked about this so much. I think in my August wrap-up, I talked about it. In my September wrap-up, I talked about it. In my ACOTAR spoiler review, I talked about Throne of Glass. I have talked about Throne of Glass so much, I should be done with this series. But I'm not. Okay? So you guys have probably heard so much about this if you are a constant watcher and you watch all of my videos. But let's just talk about it. Assassin's Blade. It is a bundle of a whole bunch of little novellas. So you got the Assassin and the Pirate Lord, the Assassin and the Healer, the Assassin in the Desert, the Assassin in the Underworld, and the Assassin in the Empire. Every goddamn person who has read Sarah J. Maas should know to not fall in love with the first love interest in the book, her books. I should have known. I should have known, and this one was so much worse than ACOTAR because it's like, okay, yeah, he's a dick, but at least he's alive. Like, the, soul-crushing sadness of his death is not even, I can't fathom how much I cried at Sam's death. Oh my gosh. And that was the only redeeming quality of this book. And her saving the slaves. That's pretty much about it. This, I think I put 4 stars on Goodreads, but it's more like a 3.5. You just can't, I'm not going to degrade it when it's technically over 3, so I put it at a 4. Alright. Next we have Throne of Glass. I think I've talked about it so much. So, Assassin's Blade, you get character building. And just, you want to slam your head against a freaking wall. With not only how slow it is, but also the gut-wrenching that you get around the end of the book. This one, you get world building and still character building. So you get, 2 first book fantasy books. And, if you know fantasy books, you know what I'm talking about. The first book is always the hardest book to get through, and now you have 2 of them. Mind you, the Assassin's Blade did not come out as the first book, okay? Everybody just says to read it as the first book. All I gotta say is if you have patience, read it as the first book. Also, with Sam's death, I mean, you don't really get surprised. I mean, it would ruin that if you read it when it came out. I don't know. I personally just say, if you got patience, read it. I barely have the patience. I mean, we're talking we're almost in freaking November, and I'm only on the 4th book of this fucking series. That says a lot, because with the sizes of the first 4 books, it doesn't even come close to ACOTAR. So, I should have flew through all the way to the Tower of Dawn, because the tandem read would have taken me for freaking ever. But no, here we are. Anyways, Throne of Glass. You get a lot of world building, yes. She goes through so much. I mean, she went through a lot. And then she's going... this girl just gets beat up and beat up. And then beat up some more. I'm trying not to spoil a whole lot, so I'm not going to give you, like, a lot of details. Crown of Midnight. Oh, I rated this one also, like, a 3.5 stars. Crown of Midnight. This is straight 4-star. So, after she goes for the redemption, and, like, not redemption, goes for her vengeance kill. Revenge, right? For killing her loved, the person that she loved and she was going to escape and have freedom with. And she gets captured. She doesn't know who technically set her up, like she has her thoughts. The reader obviously knows, like, the obvious, and she even says, like, she thinks she knows, but she doesn't want to come to terms with it. She's not ready to come to terms with the fact that he set her up. Then she goes to a literal slave camp and is a slave with a prison sentence, and, like, nobody lasts, like, I think, was it, like, the first week or the first month or something like that? Well, it was, like, her third week or third month. I can't remember if it was weeks or months, but she is lasting. She's not breaking. And, like, where she technically broke, she didn't break. She was trying to make a point by getting to, like, the wall and stuff. Well, then, now you flash to the glass castle, and now you have your, like, main enemy. At least that's what it looks like. And it's obviously the king is, like, gonna be your main enemy. He's the one who's starting all this crap. He's the one who literally, like, ran through all these other little kingdoms and villages and whatnot, and literally slaughtered everybody who dealt with magic or was fae or this or that, and literally was like, if you do not want to follow me or be under my rule, you will die or go and be a slave in the slave camps and then, well, die. That was some type of punishment. So Dorian, his son, is like, you know what's a really good idea? Let's go to the slave camp. Grab this assassin who's there and, like, be all surprised that she's an assassin. And, like, have her go through training and everything to become the king's champion, who is literally just the king's assassin, and like destroy her brain even more. And the captain of the guard. Oh my gosh. There's so much. And something, again, with this series that is hard is the amount of times you change POV. Wow. It is insane. I mean, she does a really good job of, like, making sure that you're, like, well immersed in each POV, and, like, tries to make it as much of a smooth crossover as possible. But unless you're, like, 100% in, like, to read, it is so hard to focus on and so hard to follow that it's like, my brain is gonna fucking melt. But it's still a good book. Okay, this is the one we're in. I have read farther than to part 2. This is just where I've updated since my Kindle. And because this is very floppy, like, the little bit that I have read in this book has already cracked the spine. And I am livid a little bit. These are stiff books, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be reading one of the books for a tandem read. I'm gonna say I don't give a fuck, and that spine is gonna get cracked, because the tandem read I'm gonna do partial on my Kindle and then part on my in book. Anyways, we have another scene change. She is now in Windland, and it is one of the, probably, I think, one of the only last, like, places where Fae can roam as free as possible under a queen's, which is her aunt, like, reign. And there's this main character, Rowan, now that you have been introduced to, and like, it's like the inner circle of like this place as well, and Rowan's not even a part of it. He's apparently like a prince. You also, like, at the end of this Crown of Midnight, you find out who Selena really is. And so, like, she is part Fae-ish. Like, she has her human form and then she has her Fae form and she can shift into it. And then Koal saw that, and because she opened a portal into a land she was not supposed to open, she opened a portal to talk to somebody who died, which that death killed me a little bit. All of that killed me a little bit inside, and I cried and screamed so much. It's like I can't hate these books because they make me feel so much, and I'm like so intrigued so many times, but it's not 5 stars. It's not a 5-star series so far. Still have 4 more books to go, if you're counting this one. If you don't count this one, it'd be 4 more books to go. 4.5, since there's still like half a book left. Anyways, so Rowan's an asshole, but you can tell he is that Fae brooding type of that the turn of events that just happened is fucking crazy. Asshole, where you know that there's so much underneath, and you're starting to slowly now, just crazy that it's taken this freaking long, and that's why I'm guessing that the rest of the series is freaking huge, because it takes so long to really honestly get to the nitty-gritty of like who these characters are, but at the same time it makes you love these characters even more, which is so freaking frustrating, because it's like I just want to be done and just stop reading this series, but at the same time I cannot not stop reading this series because I love this series. It makes no sense. Reading is so confusing to my brain. So that's where we're at. We're on Heir of Fire. The turn of events that just happened is fucking crazy. So they were just talking about like her history and how she's like, I will never talk about Endover. I would never talk about this or that. This and then I can take hate, I can take this, but I cannot take pity. And like the 2 reasons why she stayed with Ardalan. So if he had tossed me away, I would have either have died or wound up with the rebels. If I had ever grown up with them, I probably would have been found by the king and slaughtered. Or I would have grown so hateful that I would have been killing Ardalan soldiers from a young age. It's like, His brows rose and she clicked her tongue. You thought I was just gonna spend my whole history at your feet the moment I met you? I'm sure you have even more stories than I do. So stop looking so surprised. Maybe we should just go back to beating each other to a pulp. He's like, his eyes gleamed with near predatory intent. Oh, not a chance, princess. You can tell me what you want, when you want, but there's no going back now. She looked at her tools again. I'm sure your other friends just adore having you around. A feral smile, and he grabbed her by the chin, not hard enough to hurt, but to get her to look at him. First thing, he raved, we are not friends. I'm still training you, and that means that you are still under my command. The flicker of hurt must have shown because he leaned in closer, his grip tightening on her jaw. Second, whatever we are, whatever this is, I'm still figuring it out too. So if I'm going to give you the space you deserve to sort yourself out, then you damn well give it to me. She studied him for a moment, the breath mingling. Deal, she said. What? Going into another chapter in a different POV. Like, it's like cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger. Like, it's just not fair at all, and that just makes no sense and just rude to do. But fine, let's go into Dorian's POV. Anyways, chapter 40. Oh my god. Liar. You're the world's worst liar. We went from, like, steamy, confusing, thinking that maybe they like each other, but will this go any farther, to straight up him kissing her hair and calling her a liar. Dorian Sources. I swear they just like type a bunch of little letters and let it autocorrect and like, that sounds like a name for fantasy books. Damn, Dorian. Like, that whole conversation with Koal. How the frick do you say his name, by the way? Koal? I just want to be like, Cole. But it's not his name. Again, it's like they just like type a whole bunch of little letters and let autocorrect do it, and then they're like, that sounds like a name. Anyway, so freaking Dorian and Sorsha, God, we're having a sweet, good old time, and then Sorsha had to leave because, like, obviously they can't be around each other because he's Prince and she's a healer, and that would just reputations and shit. And he has no choice. He is bound to his crown, and it would be until the day he died that his brother got the heir to the crown. Anyways, he goes, there was a knock on his door, and Dorian smiled, wondering if Sorsha had come back. The grin vanished as the door opened. We need to talk, Koal said from the threshold. Dorian hadn't seen him in weeks, and yet his friend looked older, exhausted. Not going to bother with flattery, Dorian said, plopping onto the couch. You would see through it anyway. Koal shut the door behind him and leaned against it. Humor me. I am sorry, Dorian, Koal said softly, more than you know. Sorry because lying cost you, me, and her? Would you be sorry if you hadn't been caught? Koal's jaw tightened, and perhaps Dorian was being unfair, but he didn't care. No, he's not. I am sorry for it all, but I have been working to fix it. And what about Selena? Is working with Aiden actually to help her or me? Both of you. Do you still love her? He didn't know why he cared, why it was important. But Koal closed his eyes for a moment. A part of me will always love her, but I had to get her out of this castle because it was too dangerous, and she was what she was becoming. She was not. And then here's where Dorian goes off. I mean, he goes off. She was not becoming anything different from what she's always was and always had the capacity to be. You just finally saw everything, and once you saw that other part of her, Dorian said quietly, it had taken him until now, until Sorsha, to understand what that meant. You cannot pick and choose what parts of her to love. Yo! I love that. Like, dude, that is 100%. And then he goes on to be like, he pitied Koal. He realized his heart hurt for his friend, for all that Koal had surely been realizing these past few months. Just as you cannot pick which parts of me you accept. And Koal goes, I don't. And then Dorian is like, I'm not going to let you speak. Dorian goes, you do. But what's done is done, Koal, and there's no going back. No matter how hard you try to change things, like it or not, you played a role in getting us all to this. Point 2. You set her down that path to revealing what and who she is, to whatever she decides to do now. And then Koal goes, you think I wanted any of this to happen? Splaying his arms. If I could, I would put it all back to the way it was. If I could, she wouldn't be queen, and you wouldn't have magic. And then Dorian goes off once more and goes, of course, you still see the magic as the problem. Of course you would wish she wasn't who she is. Because you are not really scared of those things, are you? No, it's what they represent, the change. But let me tell you, Dorian breathed, because his magic was blithering. He goes, things have already changed, and changed because of you. I have magic. There's no undoing that. No getting rid of it. And as for Selena, you do not have the right to wish she were not what she is. The only thing you have the right to do is decide whether you are her enemy or her friend. Like, yo, he did not, like, stop. He's like, I am sick and tired of your shit, bro. Grow up. See the change. Be the change that you see, not fear it. Anyways. Day 2 of trying to finish this book. Air of Fire. I'm reading it on my Kindle. Because why not? So, I don't even know. Because, like, I have not updated it. Updated the book in a couple of days. But I have the bundle on here, which has all the books. So I'm technically on page 1346 on the Kindle. But I have no idea where that is in the book. I know I'm over 50% of the way through it. But let's get into this. Okay, I found where I'm at. Well, I am going to find it in here. It's chapter 41. Koal's getting, like, beaten up left and right. Okay. I am that far through. I could probably finish this today. If I crack down and actually, like, read it nonstop. Which is what we're gonna try to do. Oh, we're back in Selena's point of view, by the way. Oh my god. Ah! I don't know how to explain what's happening right now other than a lot. A lot is happening. So she's practically literally like burning from the inside out. Rowan's freaking the fuck out, and he literally went and grabbed, I'm guessing, 2 healers? Hold on. Okay. I'm guessing 2 healers because they're like, she's like, they go, can you stand a carrier? There aren't any water welders here, and we need to get her into cold water now. And then like she felt herself in Rowan's arms, bouncing against the chest as they hurtled through the woods. Every step sent the splinters of red-hot pain through her, though his arms were ice cold, a frigid wind pressing on her. She was adrift in a sea of fire. Interesting. So there's a lot going on. A lot. We're in the next chapter, and I'm guessing we're in Rowan's point of view. So basically, Selena almost died. She hit the, I'm guessing, the bottom of her well, like power well, and didn't realize the warning signs and almost died. Well, she burned Rowan again. And so he left to go check on the tonic that those 2 women were working on. When he came back, she had her head against her knees, and he noticed her back and asked obviously questions and whatnot, like, who did that to you? And she's like, a lot of people. I spent some time in the salt mines of Andover, which is the slave camp. Ooh, he's bumping me. But he thinks that was the least amount of punishment that she deserved. But I'm gonna say that he is quite pissed. Just saying. Anyways, chapter 42. Yikes. Okay. I'm just gonna read these next few pages because I feel like I will cry if I don't. So we're in chapter 42. It's in Rowan's perspective. Her back.
Rowan soared over the trees, writing and shaping the winds to push him onward. Faster. Their roar negligible to the bellowing in his head, he took in the passing world out of instinct rather than interest. His eyes turned inward toward the slab of ruined flesh glistening in the candlelight. The gods knew he'd seen plenty of harrowing injuries. He'd bestowed plenty of them on his enemies and friends alike. In the grand sense of things, her back wasn't even close to some of those wounds. Yet when he'd seen it, his heart had clean stopped, and for a moment there had been overwhelming silence in his mind. He felt his magic and his warrior's instincts honing into a lethal combination the longer he stared, howling to rip apart the people who had done that with his bare hands. Then he just left, hardly making it out of the bath before he shifted and soared into the night. Maeve had lied, or lied by omission, but she knew that what that girl had gone through. She knew that she'd been a slave. That day earlier on, he threatened to whip the girl gods above, and she had lost it. He'd been such a proud fool that he assumed she lashed out because she was nothing more than a child. He should have known better, should have known that when she did react to something like that, it meant the scars went deep, and then there were the other things he'd said. He was almost to the towering line of the Cameron Mountains. She had barely been grown into her woman's body when they hurt her like that. Why hadn't she told him? Why hadn't Maeve told him? His hawk loosed a piercing cry that echoed on the dark gray stones of the mountain wall before him. A chorus of unearthly howls was in response. Maeve's wild wolves, guarding the passes. Even if he flew all the way to her door now, he'd reach his queen and demand answers, and she would not give them to him. With the blood oath, she could command he not go back to Mistward. He gripped the winds with his magic, choking off the current. Aileen had not trusted him, had not wanted him to know, and she'd almost burned out completely, gods be damned, leaving her currently defenseless. Primal anger sharpened into his gut, brimming with territorial possessive need. Not a need for her, but a need to protect, a male's duty and honor. He had not handled the news as he should have. If she hadn't wanted to tell him about being a slave, then she probably had done so, assuming the worst about him, just as she was probably assuming the worst about his leaving. The thought didn't sit well, so he veered back to the north and rained his magic to pull the winds with him, easing his flight back to the fortress. He would get answers from his queen soon enough. That's all I got. I have no words other than feelings, and I feel many mixed emotions. We're back in Selena's point of view. The healers are giving her the tonic. Yo. Anyways. Ugh. Hello, I'm back. I took a much needed breather watching YouTube and eating food, but we're back in the swing of things. This is definitely going to be like multiple parts because it is already super long. But let's get into it. What? So Rowan just like pops right in while she's trying to go back to sleep after a very rough, very scary day. Picks her up and literally takes her upstairs into where there's a roaring fire, warm sheets, and a soft mattress. And he goes roughly, "You're staying with me from now on." Fucking just kidnaps her from her own room, and then it's just like, "You're mine now." I'm filming. We're in chapter 43, and it's now in his perspective. And I'm just gonna say how they woke up together. Super cute. Just saying. But we're in Rowan's perspective, and it's chapter 43. My Kindle's waking up. We're on chapter 44. chapter 46, and we're now in Selena's point of view. For having other words than that. How many chapters are there in this book? That's a good question. Let me see. And then I can just update where I'm at. Well, I'm gonna have to stop. I'm gonna have to plug in my Kindle because it's low. And then I have less than 30 minutes before I have to join that Zoom. So I think I'll just watch a little bit of YouTube now. Let's plug this in. And then I watch a little bit of YouTube and then edit what I just filmed. Hey, you're bugged. Ah! Okay.